Hey guys, welcome to our first video of Show Talk. On this channel, we'll be talking about many things, but mainly our favorite shows growing up that we still love to this day. Today, we'll be talking about Total Drama, which is one of our favorite shows of all time, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about our favorite moments by the host with the most, Chris McLean. Each of us will talk about a moment or two that reminds us of why we love this evil host, and let's just get right into it. The first moment I really enjoy is when Chris is getting arrested for an environmental disaster at the end of Revenge of the Island. This one serves him right because he was really going off the deep end at this point in season 4, and a little karma here and there for the host is probably for the best. But then in the next season, at the start of All Stars, we see him in jail and he's lost his mind even more. Going into that further, Chris believes that Chef is now a cashew and that Duncan and Lightning are in the middle of a competition, as you can hear him yelling, but in reality, he's just yelling at some cockroaches in his prison cell. When the real Chef, not the cashew, reveals they're greenlit for another season, it snaps Chris out of his delusion, and he's ready to host Total Drama All Stars. I just find this to be a unique way to start Total Drama All Stars, as it continues him getting arrested in Revenge of the Island, and we see him in the prison cell in the very beginning of this new season. And it's just an underrated moment that a lot of people overlook, but I find it to be really good. Another moment I really like also comes from All Stars, and it's when Chris is bonding with Mal. I know many people hate All Stars and Mal, but I happen to like both. In an episode, Chris reveals that he's forgotten to feed his interns in over a week, and Mal starts laughing. Chris agrees with Mal, saying, "I know, funny, right?" And this just shows that Chris is a complete nut job, and that's what really makes the show so entertaining to watch, as you really never know what he'll be up to next. Lastly, Chris only caring about ratings is just so fitting for his character. This dude will literally kill to get ratings he craves so much. Chris is certainly a unique character to Total Drama and just shows in general, which is a reason I like Chris and the show so much.
Yeah, Chris is definitely one of my favorite characters in the whole show. I can't help but laugh whenever he's on screen most of the time. One of my favorite moments is in All Stars when Duncan blows up his cottage and he screams at the top of his lungs, "My cottage!" And nobody cares. Yeah, and then Courtney calls it a mansion the entire episode, and he's all depressed for the rest of the episode whenever they're eliminating the person. Yeah, and to top it all off, Chris sends Duncan back to juvie for blowing up his cottage. I also find funny whenever he acts weird around Lindsay, like the time he got on the boat when she got eliminated, and when he called her delicious during during Revenge of the Island. Also, one of my favorite long-running jokes in the whole show is when Chris and basically the whole cast treat Ezekiel like garbage, and then by the end, when we see him, he's turned into a literal monster, and nobody could care less. It's just so strange to see this teenager be turned into a literal monster, and nobody seems to care. You gotta wonder, what his family thinks at home during times like these. Yeah, that's basically all my favorite Chris moments throughout the show.
So when it comes to my favorite Chris McLean moments, I just love the fact that Chris is just such a narcissist. Like, this dude is just constantly rooting for the harm of his contestants and interns. Going further into that, I remember at least 2 moments where an intern has straight up just died at the hands of Chris, all while Chris faces 0 consequences at all. Like, absolutely no negatives from this happening. I think I can recall the first one happening at the end of the first season, when Chris has an intern start on his very first day, which happened to be the last day, because all the other interns died already. So this intern is just forced to test out the challenge to see if it's safe enough for the challengers involved. They would have to walk across this unstable plank, which is already sketchy enough, and now add in the rare but real freshwater meat-eating sharks. And of course, you already can predict the outcome. The intern falls off and dives right into the dangerous water. Now, while hearing this intern just being chomped, Chris deems the obstacle as safe enough. Like, yeah, it's perfect. Let's just get this challenge going already, basically. So a second time we see Chris putting interns in harm's way is in the second episode of World Tour, when Chris is first announcing the challenge and he's using this intern as a human bench to sit on. And later in the episode, as all the contestants are trying to escape the pyramid with the scarabs chasing them, the camera briefly pans over to the intern getting covered by the bugs. When Chris is announcing the commercial break, he says, "Who's gonna die and who's going bye bye?" And when the camera pans out for a final shot, you can see that the intern Chris was standing on is now a skeleton, indicating that the intern was eaten alive by the bugs. And once again, Chris seriously just doesn't care in the slightest. Chris, being the evil man he is, adds a good amount of dark humor, obscurity, and just helps keep the show interesting. Fan wise, I can see why either people love him or hate him for his evil deeds. I just find myself laughing over his nonsense rather than hating him for his actions. The fact he just doesn't care about the contestant's safety in the slightest. I think this just really helps with the show's trying to do in general. And yeah, those are my moments.
Hey guys, it's Connor. I'm on my other mic because originally we had another segment recorded where we made some final thoughts and last second comments, and that part of the video got lost completely. We also had an outro and all that stuff with the other two guys, but I'm just here now on my other mic to say thank you guys so much for watching. This is our first video. Let us know what you think about it. Leave some comments and all that good stuff. But yeah, if you made it this far, we really appreciate it, and we have more stuff coming soon. So stay tuned for that, and take care.